Are you tired of watching shows that only give you general social media theory and expect you to figure out how to apply it to your own industry? Join us for this week's episode of Social Chatter, the industry's longest running social media marketing news talk show. Not only will you learn the latest breaking news, but you'll also gain practical advice on how to apply it. Now here's your host, Christian Karasevich.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Social Chatter, your weekly social media marketing news talk show. This is episode, and I seriously have to check this today. I think this is 305 with myself, Sarah Monroe, and this week's guest is Chelsea Peitz, a friend of mine. And we're going to be talking about Instagram limits. And this is a new feature from Instagram. They're basically controls to basically help you manage comments, direct messages, things like that. But we're going to be talking about this topic with her because, well, Chelsea specializes in Instagram, specifically Instagram for real estate professionals. Hopefully I got that right, Chelsea. If I didn't, when we bring you on here in a second, just do me a favor and just let us know. But I'm going to go and bring on Sarah. We're going to kick things off. We're sorry for starting a couple minutes late, by the way. We did run into a few technical issues. We were trying to get Sarah's camera fixed. And that's the beauty of live streaming, by the way. So you kind of just have to take things as they come. So Sarah, it's fantastic having you join me yet again for another episode of Social Chatter.
And just when we try up, and Christian has me unmuted.
Yeah, there you go. So
yes, we are unmuted. So one thing's working today. Oh my goodness gracious. But it's great to try new tools. That's part of what the show is about, is trying out new things. Mm-hmm. And I've been trying out Camo. I think this is my second week using it.
I think so, yeah.
So sometimes it's working, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's the internet too. We're all Eastern Seaboards dealing with tropical storms. So, we roll with it.
Absolutely.
But today, like you said, your friend Chelsea, my new friend Chelsea Peitz, let's do a quick introduction. I love what she says. She uses the video feature on her LinkedIn profile. Mm-hmm. And what she says is she has uncomplicated social media strategies to help build brands. And like you said, she's focusing in real estate, but she is working with a variety of clients. And I think we both know that she has the content goals, our content goals. So a lot of great stuff that she produces. And we'll just say, welcome, Chelsea.
How we doing, Chelsea?
Oh, good morning, everyone. It's so great to be here. Thanks for having me back.
Anytime. I was actually looking over the notes and I was like, I haven't had Chelsea on in quite a while. I think we had you scheduled and then something came up with the scheduling. Right. But it's fantastic having you back, having you join us yet again. Did we do a good job giving people, a background about you, or is there anything you want to add?
Yes. The only thing you missed is hot mess mom, the small dog rescuer, and everything else was perfect.
Fantastic. And by the way, you should totally check out Chelsea's Instagram channel. I got to say, she's got some really great, you do a really good job with just the media aspect, bringing in music and just kind of your facial expressions and, the topics that you talk about. So they're a lot of fun to watch. I will say they do draw me in to go and check out whenever she posts. So
thank you.
Make sure you all check that out.
The goal is to share smiles and spread some joy and help motivate and inspire, because I know I need that. And so I'm really, really happy to hear that. Thank you so much.
Anytime.
And we love your guest star. We got to talk about the guest star on your Instagram. And so if no one has seen Chelsea's Instagram, go check it out because she has a little guest star now and then.
I do have my co-stars, and I talk a lot about that in my content strategy, that there's such a value in having a guest co-star that shows up in your stories. And it doesn't even have to be a real person. It doesn't have to be a human. It doesn't have to be an animal. I had a guest star co-star for about 6 months that was a plant. And people still ask me about Alien Plant, was her name, AP. And people send me pictures from all over the world of their plants. And they're like, this is AP. So yeah, co-stars can definitely, always bring in an element to the storytelling.
Fantastic. So if you want to check out Chelsea on Instagram, by the way, it's instagram.com/chelsea.peitz. Go and check that out. Again, lots of really good content. So we've got questions, Chelsea, here very shortly. But what I want to do is I want to turn it over to Sarah. We're going to talk about social media news this week. And I mentioned Instagram limits, but Sarah, take it away.
Sure. So it's great to have Chelsea here today because Instagram announced yesterday, Tuesday and Wednesday, announced some changes to how you can control the commenting and messaging as a general way to improve your community on Instagram. So this is a way for creators to have more control over the content that's being the comments that are being shared or the direct messages that you're getting. And I have to say, this is a very nuanced feature that Instagram is rolling out. So Instagram tends to intercept abusive language and bullying and try to stamp that out even before anybody sees it. But this is giving the creators a chance to fine tune it. So one of the first pieces with the limits feature, first of all, you can turn it on and off, right? But basically what it's allowing you to do is hide comments and direct messages from non-followers or recent followers. I think we all know when we see public figures or we see things in the news or companies that a campaign is going viral for better or worse, they get bombarded with comments and direct messages and from people and bots that are finding them through this viral moment in time. So when sudden spikes of attention come, you can get this pile-on effect of really abusive comments and direct messages. I think we all saw examples just recently with the Olympics too, right? This happened with athletes and teams that were in the news. So what this allows you to do is turn off these or limit the comments and direct messages. So you still hear from the community that you spent a long time building. And Christian just pulled up on the screen what the dashboards look like. So this is within your privacy settings where you can really fine tune what these limits are. And if this looks familiar, it should, because we actually talked about this in April, and I think we may have talked about it in July too, that Instagram was rolling out some of these new tools. They are also going to have a warning for offensive content. And I think that might be the next slide, Christian.
So they got some
where, yeah. So what it's going to do is pull up warnings. Oh, no, I guess it's not there. Anyway, well, I'll talk about it. So this is a warning if someone is about to post a comment or a direct message that has abusive or offensive language content in it, it's going to pull up a warning that says you are violating Instagram's guidelines. And we'll say, do you really want to post this? I think we've seen iterations of this I want to say almost 3 years ago, where if you wrote something negative, you would get this little warning box that would say, are you sure you want to post that? And Twitter has been doing something over the last year as well with this. So it's really meant to stamp out some offensive content. Instagram actually has been testing this over the last 6 months. They've done about 1 million tests, and 50% of the people edit or delete what they're about to comment or message. So another new nuance too is that you can have hidden words where you can filter offensive comments content in your comments and DMs. So you can hide words, phrases, emojis. I think emojis is the newest. This is in addition to what Instagram automatically filters out for hate speech and bullying. So what happens if anything comes through, any comments or messages come through with these hidden words, it's going to move directly to a hidden folder. And you never have to see it again. So, and the hidden words does apply to direct messaging inbox and your stories tray too. So I think these are a great new way to make Instagram or more positive community that so many of us want it to be, right? I think we can bring on Chelsea and
Actually, before we do it, let's
talk a little
actually
bit.
demo how you do this real quick.
Oh, sure.
So here's my Instagram profile.
Yep.
And just very quick. So basically what you do is you tap your profile icon in the bottom right-hand corner, go up to the hamburger menu in the top right, go up to settings. And then you're going to see this privacy option here. Let me make sure I got that right. Yeah. And then there's the limits feature located underneath hidden words. We're going to just turn that on. And then you can choose who to limit. So for example, accounts that aren't following you, recent followers in the last week. And then you can also choose how long to limit them for. For example, it goes all the way down to 1 day, for example, or 1 week. It'll give you a reminder and you just turn that on. And then it basically will automatically manage most of this stuff for you. So, yeah.
And then you can also, hidden words may not have rolled out completely yet. So you may not have that. Yep. There you go.
The hidden words feature. So you can hide comments. You can choose hide more comments. So these are more comments that may be offensive. Hide message request, add to list, for example. So you can set up custom lists, things like that as well. So lots of options there in terms of using Instagram limits. But let's do this. Let's go and bring on everyone and let's talk about this feature. So Chelsea, what do you think? Is this do you like this feature? Do you like the kind of the AI aspect?
I am all about protection from abuse because unfortunately that's rampant on all platforms. And I have spoken about this on my Instagram. I am a huge mental health advocate as somebody who deals with mental health issues. And as a content creator, that is one of my, parts of social media where I have stress. And I think protecting ourselves, protecting our mental health and our emotional health when we're using these tools that can be incredibly positive to connect with the community. None of us want to experience that. So I like it. I actually have been using the, I think it's like before this came out, there was an area where you could put comments and you could actually specify different words. Yeah. So I already had that set up because I have personally experienced, as many people have, unwanted abusive comments. And so I'm very excited that this is happening and I hope it happens on all the platforms. And I haven't set up my hidden words yet, but I have done it on the comments as well. So they've actually come out with several rollouts on Instagram beyond this that are working through, trying to make it a very positive place for you mentally and emotionally so that you are having the best experience possible. So I like it.
Right. Definitely. Yeah. And a question I have, I guess, in terms of, so going back to like the mental health thing, can you kind of explain that? Like, so for example, like what does it mean when somebody said, like, can you kind of explain the mental health aspect to this?
Yeah,
so
I can.
You're a content creator. What's the mental health aspect?
Yeah, I can speak for me personally. Definitely not a mental health expert. I do have a mental illness. I have obsessive compulsive disorder. I have since I was 6 years old. A lot of that regulates around fixating on intrusive thoughts. And one of the things that is really stressful for me personally is what if, somebody makes a comment or being scared by that, or what if I put a piece of content out and, so it could be something completely illogical, but for about 6 months, it got so intense for me that I actually didn't want to post at all. I think I'm a mom. And I think about one day my child is going to be using social media and we didn't have that, excuse me, when I was a kid growing up. So, it seems like when you don't have that, a lot of these things probably wouldn't be said to you if you're in the same room. And certainly the comments that I've received on a variety of platforms aren't anyone I know or that knows me and, has nothing to do with me or my character or my content. But it's definitely something that for me is very real. And certainly I want to have a positive experience and on any of those platforms as well.
Right. It doesn't matter if you're an individual or a business. There's a lot of self-doubt that leaks into posting in general, being vulnerable, putting out content, showing a side of you that may be more personal, whether that's the personal side of your business or the personal side of your life, right? I know that you have you have your kids on your Instagram too, and you show parts of your home and things like that. So you're really being vulnerable. And sometimes, you can get 100 great comments and then that one negative one, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just someone who doesn't get your humor too, right? I know I have friends who post things on Facebook and they've taken my humor the wrong way, even though we know each other really, really well. And if I said it to them to their face, they would totally get it. But because it's in a different format, it's taken the wrong way. And then it escalates and people feel terrible on both sides of it. Not to say that the trolls feel bad about what they're doing online, but yeah, the internet can be a really dark place for all ages and from all backgrounds, and especially from marginalized communities too, who are really trying to elevate their voices and talk about things that are important to them that we all need to hear too. And then you get just a handful of trolls, or sometimes thousands of people who just sort of pile on to someone. And I love that this lets you limit that, right? That you have to be a follower to be able to talk about these things or to comment on content.
So I want to touch on one thing. So as we were kind of looking through this, Chelsea, and we were looking through it beforehand, there's a lot to set up, isn't there? Or it seems like it, maybe. Like, so if somebody, like, how do you get people to find that, what do you suggest, I guess? So if somebody wants to use Instagram limits, they can turn it on, great. But, let's start with the first question. Should everyone turn on Instagram limits? What do you think?
I think it's a personal decision.
Okay. And then in terms of like how much setup is involved. Okay. So obviously we checked a couple of boxes. We showed people how we were doing it right then and there, but how much time do you think somebody should spend, for example, on their Instagram account, going through their profile, maybe familiarizing themselves with things? How much time should they really spend? Should they just kind of go on and start posting, or is that a personal thing?
Yeah, it's funny because there's a lot of settings in that menu.
Yeah.
It's a really big menu. It kind of reminds me of Facebook business pages. If you've ever looked at the settings menu there, wow, you could be there for a long time. And yeah, it's not something that I go through on a regular basis, but I actually sit down maybe once a year and look through all my settings and make sure they're set up the way that I want. One of the settings that I recommend, is the tagging setting. Like, I manually approve everything that I'm ever tagged in, because those tags, if you don't have that setting on, will go directly to your profile in that tag content section. So there are some really helpful setups. There's security settings that definitely, I've had so many people that have reached out to me. It seems like it's been an increase. I don't know if you've experienced this too, where people are sadly falling prey to, the Instagram DMs that are from Instagram, but they're really not, and they're losing access to their account and all of those things. And so there's a lot of hacking going on. There's a lot of attempted hacks. And so having that two-factor authentication on, I don't think you need to spend a lot of time in your settings, but I think you do need to familiarize yourself with that. And some of the features that we're going to talk about, Instagram Reels and a few other things, it really kind of depends on what kind of account you have too. And a lot of people don't realize that there's multiple types of accounts. And if you want to change those, it all lives in the settings. So it can feel overwhelming for sure, just like insights and data, because there's all the buttons and all the things. So I wouldn't spend a lot of time, but you can't break it. Just click on the things and see what they do and check it out.
Right.
I gotta say, go ahead, Sarah.
I think it should be part of your PR plan too. Like, if you know that something's going to come out or that you're in the news, you need to prepare for the positive and the negative. And this gives you a chance to do that.
That's an excellent point, actually, about the fact that, again, like, if you're going to get a lot of people, like, if you're knowing, for example, if you're going to be on, like, say you're going to get featured in an article, chances are you're going to get more people, that are going to start to reach out to you for things. So you need to be proactive instead of having to be reactive to this. So be proactive, plan out, okay, so I may get a lot of people that are going to reach out to me about certain things. Let me actually take those steps ahead of time so that it isn't unwieldy and unmanageable at that point. Again, going through your settings, as Chelsea mentioned, maybe doing it once a year. okay, if you know you've got a couple of big things coming up, maybe you do it, once a quarter, for example. Put it on the calendar, and spend some time doing it. Remember, it's going to save you more time in the long run versus waiting to actually do it until it actually happens. So I love that. Love all the points you actually both are sharing. And then just overall, I mean, I think that again, you want to make sure that you do familiarize yourself with things. I mean, don't fall victim to all the tagging features that Chelsea was mentioning. For example, turn on 2-factor authentication. It means an extra step, but it also can save you a lot of time as well if something does happen, because again, you don't have the intentions to do something, and maybe it's not one of your close friends that's going to do it, but it could be, you could get pulled into like a security breach or something like that, where your account then gets compromised. And so if you've at least taken some of those steps, it can help reduce how much extra time I think you're going to actually have to put into things to fix it. So,
I'm going to give you one more tip if that's okay too, because this has happened to me probably 4 times in this year alone. And I noticed it's been happening to a lot of other people as well. And they've reached out to me. A lot of times you'll see that someone will steal your photos and try to put a fake account of you and try to reach out to your friends. And it's all a scam thing too. They may not use your name. They may just use a random name, but it's your profile picture and your content, etc. So a lot, you can go and report that account. You can have other people report that account. What I have found is, and you can actually just search this on Instagram, but put in Instagram copyright violation. And what I will tell you is it's a little bit of a lengthy process, meaning you're going to have to take a link of this account that's stealing your content and post it, and then your account and post it. But you fill out this form, and I have to tell you, I think it was less than 30 minutes that that's how fast it was that they would take off and delete these accounts. When I reported it, it took a lot longer. So if anybody is experiencing that, it seemed like there was a spike in that happening. I would go to the copyright link, I would fill out that form, and I would also report it. But that seems to be the fastest way to do it. And I've had to do that 4 times this year.
It's kind of crazy. But again, so I dropped the link. Do me a favor, just bookmark it. Bookmark it, save it. So that way, if you ever run into that issue, you have it handy. You don't have to go try to find it. Also, by the way, if you are going to go, if you do need to fill out a form for Instagram, don't just go to somebody's blog and use the links they're giving you. Just go directly to Instagram and get the forms.
Right. And all of the emails from Instagram show up in your settings. And a lot of people don't know that even exists. There is an actual section in your settings that says emails from Instagram. If it's not in there, they did not email you.
Excellent. Love that point. Okay. So Sarah, where do we go from here?
Great. So next we are going into some TikTok news. So TikTok is announcing a new partner program. And actually this announcement is part of a bigger piece of their creative tools. So they're actually going to badge approved marketing partners that they have as part of their platform. So they are announcing a new partnership with Vimeo and Canva to help small businesses create advertising. So it's basically to help streamline the publishing within TikTok Ads Manager. So with Vimeo, what they're doing is they're going to offer templates to optimize your video ads for TikTok, and it will go directly into TikTok Ads Manager. And then with Canva has a library of TikTok templates that can help you add different graphical elements to it. And it's really meant to help reduce the ad production and planning time from, some of us, I think, can spend up to a week planning out an ad to really bring it down to a matter of hours. So this is really helpful for the small teams, the small businesses out there who want to be on TikTok, but don't really get the ecosystem or the etiquette. We know that each platform sort of has their own thing going on, and you want to make sure that you are relevant to that platform. So these are some great new tools from partners that we all know and love really well. So Vimeo and Canva are supporting this.
I got to say, I like this feature. I like that, again, basically the way it's going to work is if you're in, for example, like you can make your artwork over in Canva, for example, and then when you bring it into TikTok, TikTok's going to have an option there to be able to pull directly from the Instagram. Boy, I got those mixed up. So it's basically going to be a way for them to pull from. So if you're in TikTok, it'll be able to pull from your TikTok over from Canva into TikTok. So I think this is going to be a very useful feature. I think that it's going to help save in the content creation process. I know, for example, other companies like Agora Pulse, they have this feature also built in, or they've got parts of it built in where, you could create certain types of graphics in Canva. And then if you're going to schedule your post through their dashboard, you can bring them automatically into your Agora Pulse scheduling tool. So you don't have to do the whole, create it on Canva, download it, go over to, Agora Pulse and then re-upload it. Or in this case, TikTok, go over to TikTok, start your creation process and then, have to do an upload. It just makes it very seamless. What do you all think? I mean, Chelsea, are you a TikTok user very much, or?
So first of all, I have to say I am so impressed with TikTok. I am more of a TikTok lurker. I'm a consumer over on TikTok. And, I'm more focused on Instagram Reels. And I just mentally have told myself, I just don't know. I could repurpose them over there. But TikTok has really stood out as far as innovation and the ability to edit content and, the algorithm that seems to know what you want without even knowing what you want. And they're making some really smart moves, and even Instagram will confirm that. So they're definitely impacting the social media footprint. And in fact, I think permanently changing content. I see there's this shift that's been happening. I personally use Vimeo. I personally use Canva. So when I saw this, I was like, wow, that was very smart for all parties involved. And, I think anytime you can make something easier, it's funny that they're doing it for ads. Obviously they're on an ads push, as would any platform that's monetizing. But I think it's great. And I think there's a lot of different ways they're trying to encourage people to create this sort of micro video content. And as Sarah mentioned, it is important to know sort of the language of each one of the platforms. What I would post over in TikTok may or may not be what I would post in the feed of LinkedIn. Style, requirements as far as speed and editing and that sort of thing definitely play into it as well.
Definitely. And here's the thing, I actually wish Instagram would actually, offer something like this. I wish they would tie into, a Canva, for example. I love what Canva's doing, for example. And more applications, because again, it makes things frictionless. So it removes the, like I said, you have to go into Canva, create it, download it, and then go over to the platform. Now, if we're talking Instagram, then you probably have to, you got to airdrop it to yourself, or you got to email it to yourself, or you got to put it into your cloud drive. You got to do all sorts of other things.
Have you been watching me on the other side of the computer? I'm airdropping all this stuff.
You can also use Creator Studio. So
you can do that too, yes. But still, you got to download and then upload. But still, it's it's a process.
It is a process,
and they need to make it easier. But I like this. I like that Canva and Vimeo are trying to work with the platforms. Because again, it makes sense. Like, why should somebody have to take these extra steps? These are unnecessary steps. Like, why do I have to download it to then re-upload it? I can see what it looks like on screen. Now all I need to do is push it over to that platform and be done with it, and, kind of go about my day. So. Right.
I think we're going to see platforms do this more and more. YouTube has been improving their editing tools more and more and more. They're editing, captioning, short. Now they have the shorts and the clips that you can do straight in YouTube. I think others are going to roll out the same thing. So, yeah.
Anything else you want to cover on this topic? There's not a whole lot there. If you're running ads on TikTok, you'll see a Canva option that you can connect with.
And I think too, you can look at this platform like Canva. You could use it for other things too. To be quite honest, if you wanted to make an Instagram ad in your Instagram stories, or if you wanted to make a reel and you wanted it to be more sort of templated. So I think it's more than, yes, you'd have to export it and then upload it. It's not going to go directly to that. But, one of the challenges, well, for me and a lot of content creators is sometimes like you're not thinking in terms of, gosh, what would this, okay, I've got to create the content, but then I also have to learn how to do the editing. And my brain works in one way or the other. First, I have to learn how to edit or make the thing, and then I can come up with a creative idea. So I like that this will simplify it and get people started possibly using it that maybe hadn't before because they were a little bit intimidated. So while it's not going to necessarily connect and post like directly like it does into the TikTok ads format or the platform, you probably could still use some of those templates to help you in other areas too.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
So that's an update for TikTok this week, by the way. So Sarah, I'm turning back over to you. What other social media news happened this week?
So another great piece about misinformation and just making a platform a better place to be is that Twitter is improving its reporting of misleading tweets. So I think, well, maybe not everybody has actually gone through the process of reporting a tweet. What they're doing is they're adding to that drop down when you report a tweet, they're adding misleading information. I know for me, when I've seen something that I know isn't truthful on Twitter, when I look at the drop down, I'm like, okay, it's not this, it's not that, it's not this. So they've added to it the misleading tweet. So it's flagging tweets. Right now, it's being tested in United States, South Korea, and Australia. And so this, let's clarify that this is happening within Twitter, and it's not Birdwatch. Christian, you and I spoke with Troy Sandage.
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't know how many episodes ago. 276 is what I wrote down when we reviewed Birdwatch, which is a completely separate website where you can go into tweets, report them, and add your comments so that you can explain why you're reporting them. This is just giving you another option within the report tweet.
Very cool. Yeah. And so let me go ahead and actually bring this up because there's a couple of things here. So for starters, this is what it's going to like. So if you have to go to Twitter, go to report tweet, you're going to see you're not interested. You're going to see is it suspicious or harmful. You're going to see is it abusive or harmful. But then you're also going to see this. So obviously we've got that it's misleading, expresses intentions of self-harm or suicide, etc. What do you all like? So what do you think? I mean, like, do you think that we need to get this granular with things in terms of reporting social media posts? I mean, because if you think about it, this is a lot of, I mean, this goes back to that whole settings thing we talked about earlier, Chelsea, like how there's a lot, for example, in the Instagram settings, there's a lot of things also on Twitter now where, again, these are shiny objects, but for a different reason, I guess. What do you all think?
I'm going to let Sarah kick off because she sounds like more of a Twitter expert than I am. I am not a Twitter expert for sure.
Well, I have to say, some people know this about me. I used to be a molecular biologist. So science never really leaves you. And so there's a lot of things that I see on Twitter that aren't any of the other selections in reporting a tweet, but it is misleading information. So I see it as an important option so that I don't have to go to Birdwatch and then go into the reporting and say, okay, this is why I'm reporting this tweet because this is not correct information. So now you have that option. And Christian, I think you showed, the options right now, if it's reference to self-harm or if it's abusive or whatever. Misleading is something entirely different. And it's nice that Twitter wants to combat misinformation. And this is a way to do that. And I think it's an important step, just as they are finally having that prompt about negative commenting or retweets. They are taking this step too. So I think it's a good step for Twitter.
I gotta say, I mean, so the other thing I think I want to add real quick on this is just the fact that everybody should try and do their part. So you don't have to take this entire cause up and like, okay, all of a sudden I'm going to start reporting a whole bunch of stuff to Twitter, but you could at least do some of the reporting. So that way, again, if Sarah reports something, I report something, Chelsea reports something, for example, we're all contributing to this thing as a whole to help clean it up. Because remember, this also helps you as a user, so for example, like if the place becomes overridden with like, a lot of misleading tweets, then that's going to actually sour the experience for other people. So again, try to, it's not about it's not necessarily about leveling the playing field for everyone, but it is about, kind of, again, if Twitter's your thing, spend some time on Twitter, help clean it up a little bit. So,
right. Well, and keep in mind, this can also be used in a positive way too. I remember 10 years ago, I'm based in Vermont. We were getting inundated by Hurricane Irene. There were communities cut off, cell phones weren't working, landlines were down, internet was down, some internet was down, but people could tweet. And so they were tweeting out information about who needed water. And the National Guard was actually following it. Emergency services were following the tweets. And that was sort of the information source. And this happens all around the world, right? We've seen it in many, many other countries about how Twitter is used for good and in informing the public about what's going on. And you can still use that little misleading thing. It's not that it was a bad intent. It was just information that's spreading quickly in an emergency situation that will cause a problem if people keep sharing it. So they can shut it down and the right information can be coming out. So you don't have to go back and correct things, because who reads all their Twitter comments? In that kind of situation. I know. I don't always read all my Twitter comments. I don't tweet all that much either.
I skim. So yeah. Awesome.
So,
okay. So
right.
That's some news this week from Twitter.
Yep.
So Sarah, let's do a lightning round.
Quick lightning round. And
I think we lost your video actually.
We lost it completely. Well,
But here's the thing. Let's just do this. How about just keep talking? I'll walk you through it.
I'll keep talking.
So what do we got? What else do we have?
We'll talk about emergency situations. I actually have the remnants of Tropical Storm Fred are rolling in on top of me right now. So that's probably what's going on is my bandwidth is collapsing on me. So lightning round. What did we start with here? LinkedIn services. So LinkedIn has, for those who have activated the services piece of their LinkedIn profile, you can now ask clients to submit reviews and ratings for those services. So kind of think of this as a review site or a testimonial tool for each of your individual services. Instead of someone just writing a testimonial for you on your general profile, this can now be on the service level. So if you enable in services on your LinkedIn profile, you'll get 20 credits to request reviews for people. So I think Chelsea kind of mentioned it a little bit too. If something is new, you want to test it out. This is certainly something to test out too. LinkedIn is making a lot of changes this year to help enhance your profile and also provide more information. So I think this is a great tool to check out, especially if you are using services. The other piece, I don't think we have a slide for, but YouTube has made some changes to Creator Studio. So there's going to be some new real-time metrics for iOS and Android that will match the metrics that you're seeing on the web. You'll now see mentions as its own tab. There's a dark theme for desktop. So if you're into the dark theme, you can do that. There's going to be some new hashtag suggestions and autocomplete, which will be great. And then also streamlining their YouTube partner program application. So I think we're going to talk a lot more about YouTube next week too, but definitely check out the blog for this week's episode and you'll see some of the links to what we just talked about.
Fantastic. Yeah. And I got to say, I mean, the YouTube updates they're pretty amazing. I mean, just looking at what all's coming out there, they've got, for example, they've got the hashtag suggestion tool. I think that's actually really useful because it does give you numbers as well. So like, for example, previously what I do is I'd go to YouTube, I'd look it up on desktop and I'd see how many videos and how many, views, for example, and things like that. Now I can actually get all that from the mobile app, in addition to all those other updates from YouTube. I know a lot of people, for example, like dark mode. So I think dark mode is also another feature to check out. But with that, what I want to do is I want to move to some questions for Chelsea. Because again, we don't just have Chelsea on to talk social media news. We also want to make sure we talk with her because she's got a lot of great information that she can share. And so, Sarah, I'm going to turn it over to you. What questions do we have for Chelsea today?
Well, so we're going to go big and we're going to go small with our questions with Chelsea, but a few, I think the biggest burning one that those of us who kind of geek out on Instagram are wondering, especially since you are really an Instagram creator, Instagram announced that they're no longer a photo sharing app. So and you've done a lot of video too for Instagram. You've tested all the little tools. So where do you see Instagram going with video?
Mm-hmm. So when that announcement came out, and I listened to it about 4 times and took every single word by word, and it was a little bit of a shakeup in the Instagram world, because originally it was, we are no longer a photo sharing app, and then it was edited to, we are no longer just a photo sharing app. And I don't think Instagram's only been photos for a long time. I think that the great thing about Instagram is it has a lot of services, a lot of platforms. You can do photos and video and long video and short video and all of the things. The only thing it doesn't really have yet is audio, but I'm probably sure that's coming. So it really does have an opportunity for any type of creator. Are they focusing more on video, i.e. Reels? Yes, absolutely. That's definitely, they just celebrated their 1-year anniversary. I've been using it since the day it came out, so I've been testing a lot of it. And certainly I have personally experienced that there's a lot more push for that type of micro video content. I'm sure it's because their main competitor, TikTok, is also using that particular format. So there is a little bit of a, I don't know if I could say friendly competition, definitely competition. I don't know how friendly it is between Instagram and TikTok on that video.
Yeah.
Right. I have to say, I'm a big YouTube watcher, and so shorts on YouTube and how TikTok creators are really taking over YouTube right now too. They're making a huge splash, and the money that's going behind shorts on YouTube is incredible for creators to actually get some more money from YouTube to promote something that they want promoted.
Yeah, Instagram is doing that too. I personally have not been able to access that area of the payments, but they've announced that they're going to pay people to make reels. They're going to pay you to go live in a variety of different tiers. And we're seeing more of that, potential money making or monetization towards creators in a variety of different platforms.
Yeah, exactly. TikTok too. I think it's important. I think creators are spending a lot of time and a lot of their time to put good content onto the platforms that get more people to the platforms and bring in more ad revenue. So I think the whole pay the creator thing is a great piece. Are there any other things that you're seeing on Instagram to just the platform in general this summer?
It was all about Reels. It was a Reels summer. It was a Reels winter. It was a Reels fall. And I'm sure everybody is tired of hearing it. Yes, it was the #1 growth strategy for this entire past, year that it's been out. And I think what's more interesting is my passion, my background. Actually, I have a degree in clinical psychology. And so I'm fascinated by the behavioral training and the product psychology. And I always knew that Instagram was basically going to borrow from their competitor. And I said, listen, it doesn't always have to be about dancing and lip syncing and all of that. You can definitely do that, or you cannot. And what is interesting is that the behavior training is that we're starting to get very used to that style of very short, 10-second videos.
I know,
that's impacting all the things. And that's clearly, I'm guessing, but my guess is that's why YouTube, who historically has been a long form video platform, is thinking, oh my gosh, we need to think about this micro content because of the behavioral training. So Reels was obviously a massive focus for Instagram. And I think that it's very intimidating for the, let's just imagine you're not even on the other platform. You have to learn how to think in almost like cinematic clips and edit. Yep. And Instagram says we're promoting entertaining content. Oh, okay. Well, gosh, that's a lot of us, kind of lean on the educational side, and that's a bit intimidating. So I think a lot of people say, I don't even want to try it because it's a little overwhelming, or I'm not going to dance. I'm not going to lip sync. And like I said, you don't have to, or you can. It's really up to you.
Right. So, I think one of, I'm not biased because it was a client of mine, but they're an organic farm and they showed the butterflies flying through. So yes, it's 20 seconds of being in a field, but it's that mental break, so it all has to fit with your brand too. And I think I've seen video be like an accordion, right? We've been long, we've been long, we've been short, we've been long, we've been short. So, and you look at YouTube too, you see stuff that's killing it at 9 minutes and other that's getting lots of views for 50 minutes. So
yeah, I don't think long form video is going anywhere. I think it's, a different intent possibly, when you're going to look for longer form video. But I do think this new wave of micro videos in a very specific format, highly edited, usually more entertaining, is something newer for most people.
Right. So when you're creating that kind of content, how much time are you spending planning that out?
So when I first started learning how to use Reels, it took me a long time because I loathe editing. And didn't know all the things. And so, it took me a lot longer. There is a learning curve. If you've never done TikTok, if you've never done shorts, if you've never done Reels, there is a learning curve. And, I have really, really tried to batch create and plan content. And so I am living proof that if your brain does not work that way, mine does not. I have tried to do a content calendar for years. And I do keep notes of ideas. I save songs, I save things that inspire me. But a lot of my content specifically for Reels it has to kind of just inspire me that week. And sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. And if I'm lucky enough to have multiple ideas, then I'll batch create. But I do recommend that if you are someone who really does like to batch create and plan your content, then with these small micro videos, it would be great to do, 2, 3, 4, 5 at a time. Maybe, 1 day a week is your Reels or TikTok video content creation. You could shoot it one day. It shouldn't take too long. And then I do recommend having the closed captioning on any video, whether it's long or short. So that might take you a little bit of extra time depending on what platform or editing tool you're using. Instagram and TikTok have made it a bit easier because now you can kind of auto do those closed captions.
Right. So what are the tools that you're using for Instagram?
So I really, really try, because I am an Instagram educator and trainer, I try to use just the tools within Instagram, mainly because there's so many cool things you can do with like third-party apps, and really Instagram has evolved so much in their editing capacity for Reels, even in the last year. I find that those become excuses of, oh, I don't have that app, or, oh, I don't have a camera, or I don't know how to do this. So then you just don't do it. So I really do try to use whatever is in Instagram. There's discussion around, does Instagram prefer if you make your video inside of it? Can it tell? Probably. So I don't really use a lot of third-party tools. I'd say in the beginning, I would use something that would be helpful for editing videos, but now Instagram's really kind of upped their game on that piece. I use, graphic design software, but I will tell you, I'm actually not even going to use graphic design software anymore because I'm really simplifying. I'm liking this shift of not feeling like your content has to be perfected and completely professionally graphic designed. I'm just gonna use text in my stories and save it in my camera roll, and those are gonna be my posts.
Yeah, I actually like how Instagram has changed the text over the last year, especially the last month. And it may just be that sometimes they give you the things and sometimes they take them away. So right now I have the things that make it a lot easier. And that way you don't have to remember either. You just know that it's right there. You don't have to go into another thing. I agree that sometimes the tools are the best on the platform. So
I got to say, I want to add one other thing. And I think that's the fact that the core of all of this, whatever you're creating, doesn't matter what platform you're on, it comes down to how good of a storyteller you are. So it comes down to, like you can have the best graphics, for example, and you can use third-party tools and you can really jazz up your videos, but it comes down to how good the content is. And so it's that whole shiny object thing. Like you can get focused on like, oh, you know what? I'll use Canva because Canva offers all these features that help me enhance my videos. But then if your message isn't good, for example, or if you're just not a good storyteller, for example, that's great. You can make them look good, but it really comes down to the substance. And that's going to get people, I think, to stick around, want to follow your channel. And you don't have to actually post all the time as well. I mean, that's the other thing. I like your point, by the way, Chelsea, when you said you tried making a content calendar and it didn't work for you. It's kind of like somebody saying, hey, I want to write a business plan. They don't know how to write a business plan, for example. Maybe they didn't do it. Maybe it's just not the way they do things. And so that's the big thing is it's like running into a brick wall. Like people are constantly like, oh, I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it. And I'm going to try it again. And it's like, no, like if it doesn't work and you're just hitting that wall, find a way to get around it. And that getting around it could be, for example, what Chelsea mentioned. She just does things a different way. There's no like recipe that says you have to follow the exact, you have to follow this the exact way in order to make it happen. Everybody takes a different path. So this is really, really good information. Okay, great. Sarah, do we have any more questions for Chelsea?
We have one final question. I love having time for this is if a business wants to start on Instagram this weekend, what are 3 things that they can do right now?
Okay, so it is all the things that aren't the fun, shiny objects. A lot of people, when they talk to me about Instagram and they take one of my classes, they want to dive into the content and the stories and the reels and what to post and all those things. And that is important. But the really, really important foundational aspects of using Instagram as a business, as a brand to potentially attract people that want to work with you, refer you, buy your products and services, et cetera, is to really think of it in terms of, I call it the 3 Gs, getting found, getting followed, getting leads. And I like to talk about it in that order because I feel like if you're making content and nobody's finding it, or you're making content and nobody's following you so that they can continue to build that like, trust factor by seeing your consistent content, it becomes a challenge to get leads, whether it's through paid or organic processes. So the not so exciting part is you have to know what kind of account you're using. And if you're a business, even if you're a solopreneur, entrepreneur, running your own business, or say a real estate agent, as you know, I'm in that industry, it's important to be in a professional account. I personally am recommending creator accounts. They're pretty similar to business accounts. You can kind of go back and forth. But if you have a personal account, we do not want to be using that because it's going to limit you in some of the great things that Instagram offers, like insights and data and analytics and creating retargeting, custom audiences. So that's number 1. Number 2 is getting your profile, which I consider to be your website that happens to live on Instagram instead of the internet. And instead of people typing in words to Google, they're going to type it into the Explore page. You need to optimize your profile, your website, so that you can get found. And it's so important to take the time. And I do this every day. I do so many Instagram audits and I see it again and again and again. It's not anyone's fault because they don't know how the system is working within Instagram. So critically important because there's basically 2 groups of people that are going to find you. The people that maybe they've been referred to you and they're going to look for you by your name or your brand name. We'll certainly want them to find you. And then there's going to be a lot of people that don't have any idea who you are or what your brand is. And we want a chance to potentially get found or happen upon by those people too. So got to optimize that profile. Username and name fields are really important for that. And then I would say once you have those foundational elements, a lot of people want to move into the content piece of it, but I'm a big believer in commenting over contenting. And I also am somebody who experiences a lot of content stress. And I like to reduce that stress by being really a proactive, what I call super fan, a super fan of other people's content. If you're selling a product, maybe in your local, maybe you're brick and mortar, maybe you're, just virtual, but you're a local small business, it would be connecting with other local small businesses or local, people in your area, commenting, building up that rapport and community. And then I would start working on the content.
Mm-hmm. And it's important to note too that positive commenting helps your algorithm too, helps your content be shown more because you are a positive contributor to Instagram community.
So. Yeah, I call it the good community member score. And that's not an actual official name. That's just what I call it.
I like that. It's like, what do I call this? I struggle with that too. What do I call this to people? So thank you for those terrific tips. I like that it wasn't all about, oh, you have to go create this content. It was be a good part of Instagram first.
Right.
Excellent. No, I love all the information you've been sharing today. And so, what we're going to do is, by the way, Chelsea's also written a few books. We're going to throw those in the blog post. That is going to go out over the weekend, by the way. But I have a couple of questions for just to wrap things up. I think the first question for you is, what's the best place for, I think we know the answer, but what's the best place for people to get in touch with you, Chelsea?
Yeah, the best place is Instagram, of course. And I have links to all the things, the books, the downloads, the podcast, whatever you might need to know. And that is the best place to connect with me one-on-one, because you can shoot me a DM and you'll hear back directly from me.
Fantastic. Sarah, what about you?
So you can find me across social media at Sarah Monroe VT. If you link with me through LinkedIn, send me a message. That's the best practice, right? For connecting with people on LinkedIn, send me a message. Let me know that you found me on Social Chatter, and I'd be happy to link up with you.
Fantastic. And I'm Christian Karasevich, and we're at Social Chefs. That's our little logo up in the, let's see if I got it right, top corner there. Yeah. So just check us out at Social Chefs on all the social platforms. With that, just a couple of quick points. We've got episode 305, the blog post going out over the weekend, socialchefs.com/SC305. That'll get you there. There's also an Alexa flash briefing version. And then next week, Sarah, who's joining us next week?
Next week is Amanda Robinson, who is the digital gal. So I have a feeling we're going to talk about ads next week.
I think so as well. Yes. So fantastic. Well, do us a favor. Be sure you go and connect with this week's guest, Chelsea Peitz. Again, great person to follow. And I love the point that you made. You talked about sort of being a lurker on some of the channels. Like, you don't have to just jump in and start creating content. You need to figure out what that strategy is, what's going to work for you. And how are you going to, where are you going to get that inspiration from? Look at other accounts, for example. Look at people that are your competitors. See what they're actually doing on the platform and say, hey, you know what? Is that something that I could do for my business, or I should do? It doesn't have to be exactly the same. Remember, your strategy, it can't be different from everyone else's, even your competitors. So, make sure you go and check that out. With that, though, I want to thank everybody for tuning in for essentially episode 305 of Social Chatter. We will see you all next week. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.
Bye.